You're watching the news on Bahrain International. I'm Mohammed Shaban. Good evening. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa received today at Ghlabia Palace His Majesty Sultan Haj Hassan Al Bolkiah, the Sultan of Brunei Dar es Salaam, in the presence of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa and His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen on the occasion of the official visit of His Majesty to the Kingdom of Bahrain. Upon the arrival of the country's honorable guest at Ghlabia Palace, accompanied by a group of horsemen, an official reception ceremony was held for His Majesty, and the royal anthem of the Sultanate of Brunei Dar es Salaam and the Bahraini royal anthem were played. The artillery fired 21 shots to welcome the honorable guest of the country.
على الشرف سلام سلطنة بروناي دار السلام وسلام مملكة البحرين. سلام.
Later, His Majesty the King held a bilateral meeting with His Majesty the Sultan of Brunei Darussalam in the presence of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, representative of His Majesty the King for Humanitarian Work and Youth Affairs and National Security Advisor His Highness Sheikh Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa, and His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen, during which they reviewed the progress of the strong relations of cooperation and friendship between the two countries in all fields, in addition to discussing current regional and international developments and issues of common concern. After that, His Majesty the King and His Majesty Sultan Haj Hassan the Sultan of Brunei Darussalam exchanged commemorative gifts. Then His Majesty the King held an official meeting with His Majesty the Sultan of Brunei in the presence of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, the Chairman of the Shura, the Speaker of the Representative Council, and members of the two delegations. At the beginning of the meeting, His Majesty welcomed the honourable guest of the country, wishing that his visit would contribute to upgrading the level of bilateral relations and strengthening bilateral cooperation and solid partnership between the two brotherly countries. His Majesty the Sultan of Brunei Darussalam expressed his thanks and appreciation to His Majesty the King for the warm reception and hospitality he received in the kingdom. Their Majesties reviewed aspects of close bilateral relations and ways to develop them and expand their horizons, especially in the commercial, economic, investment, cultural and tourism aspects, in order to achieve common goals and interests. The two sides affirmed the continued efforts to enhance cooperation in various vital fields and take advantage of the elements, capabilities and investment opportunities enjoyed by the two sides in supporting joint projects and programs and activating the agreements and memoranda of understanding signed between the two countries in vital areas of common interest for the benefit of the two nations and the two brotherly peoples.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Majesty, King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, King of the Kingdom of Bahrain. Your Majesty, Sultan Haji Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei Darussalam. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests. It is an honor and a pleasure to welcome you all here today to the signing of 5 significant memorandums of understanding and an agreement between the Kingdom of Bahrain and Brunei Darussalam that we are confident will further strengthen the excellent friendly relations between the two countries. First, it is my honor to invite His Excellency Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, Minister of Finance and National Economy of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and the Honorable Dato Irwan Bihin Yusuf, Second Minister of Foreign Affairs of Brunei Darussalam, to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Bahrain and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brunei Darussalam on political consultations. Next, may I invite Her Excellency Mrs. Hala Mohammed Al Ansari, Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Women of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and the Honorable Dato Haji Nazmi Mohammed, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports of Brunei Darussalam, to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the Government of the Kingdom of Bahrain and the Government of His Majesty the Sultan and Yang di Perituan of Brunei Darussalam on cooperation in the field of women's affairs. Next, may I invite His Excellency Dr. Ramzan bin Abdullah Naimi, Minister of Information Affairs of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and the Honorable Dr. Haji Muhammad Amin Liu Abdullah, Minister of the Prime Minister's Office and Second Minister of Finance and Economy of Brunei Darussalam, to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the Government of the Kingdom of Bahrain and the Government of His Majesty the Sultan and Yang di Perituan of Brunei Darussalam on the cooperation in the field of media. Next, may I invite His Excellency Dr. Ramzan bin Abdullah Naimi, Minister of Information Affairs of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and the Honorable Dato Haji Nazmi Mohammed, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports of Brunei Darussalam, to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the Government of the Kingdom of Bahrain and the Government of His Majesty the Sultan and Yang di Perituan of Brunei Darussalam on cooperation in the field of culture. Next, may I invite His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Mbarak Jum'ah, Minister of Education of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and the Honorable Datin Dr. Hajja Rumaiza Saleh, Minister of Education of Brunei Darussalam, to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the Government of the Kingdom of Bahrain and the Government of His Majesty the Sultan and Yang di Pertuan of Brunei Darussalam in the fields of general, technical, and higher education. Finally, may I invite His Excellency Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, Minister of Finance and National Economy of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and Honorable Dr. Haji Mohammed Amin Liu Abdullah, Minister of the Prime Minister's Office and Second Minister of Finance and Economy of Brunei Darussalam, to sign the certificate granting Brunei Darussalam sovereignty over its subscriber data in the cloud computing centers based in the Kingdom of Bahrain.
His Majesty the King and the honourable guests of the country blessed the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, which will contribute to supporting and developing tracks of mutual cooperation between the two countries. His Majesty the King praised the achievements, progress and development achieved by Brunei Darussalam under the leadership of His Majesty Sultan Hajj Hassan al-Bolkiah, which strengthened its position and role in its Asian surroundings, noting its contributions in serving the causes of the Islamic nation. For his part, the honourable guest of the country expressed his deep pride in His Majesty's efforts in strengthening the distinguished ties of friendship and areas of bilateral cooperation with his country, stressing his keenness to consolidate historical relations with the kingdom and invest in the available opportunities to develop and strengthen the course of these relations and to serve the interests of both countries. His Majesty the King hosted a lunch banquet in honor of His Majesty the Sultan of Brunei Darussalam and his accompanying delegation. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa was at the forefront yesterday to welcome His Majesty Sultan Hassan Bolkiah of Brunei Darussalam, accompanied by His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen and the accompanying delegation upon their arrival on an official visit to the Kingdom of Bahrain. Also present were His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the personal representative of His Majesty the King, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the representative of His Majesty the King for Humanitarian Work and Youth Affairs and National Security Advisor, His Highness Sheikh Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa, their Highnesses and Excellencies, the Minister of the Royal Court, the Minister of Finance and National Economy, the Minister of Justice, Islamic Affairs and Endowments, the Minister of Education, the Minister of Information, the BDF Chief of Staff and the Governor of Muharraq. His Majesty the King and the Kingdom's honourable guests were saluted by the Guards of Honour and students from the Ministry of Education. His Majesty Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah of Brunei Darussalam is accompanied by a delegation comprising Minister at the Prime Minister's Office and Second Minister of Finance and National Economy, Dato Dr. Hamza Liu Abdullah, the Second Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dato Awang Irwan Yusuf, the Minister of Education, Dr. Hajja Romeiza Saleh, the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Dato Dr. Nazmi Mohammed, the Commander of the Royal Armed Forces in Brunei, Dato Haj Mohammed Hazemi Bul Hassan. A mission of honor was formed, headed by the Minister of Justice, Islamic Affairs and Endowments.
نقولها مرة وألفين. الملك حمد وسط القلب سلطان بروناي وسط العين.
عاش الملك عاش الملك
عاش الملك
عاش الملك عاش الملك
عاش الملك عاش الملك
عاش الملك عاش الملك
عاش الملك. مرحبتين نقولها مرة وألفين. الملك حمد وسط القلب سلطان. مرحبتين نقولها مرة وألفين. الملك حمد وسط القلب سلطان بروناي وسط العين. مرحب مرحب مرحبتين نقولها مرة.
The visit of His Majesty the Sultan of Brunei Dar es Salaam to the Kingdom of Bahrain comes within the framework of the strong historical relations between the two countries and their common aspirations for the good and benefit of the two brotherly countries and their peoples. The visit also signifies the keenness of both countries on developing these relations towards broader horizons in terms of joint cooperation in various fields.
The Kingdom of Bahrain and Brunei Dar es Salaam enjoy a strong relation based on friendship, mutual understanding and joint cooperation across various fields. The relation is witnessing continuous development and progress at all levels thanks to the solid foundation laid by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and his brother His Majesty the Sultan of Brunei Dar es Salaam to elevate the existing relations to broader levels in a way that meets the common aspirations and enhance gains for the two countries and their peoples. The high-level visits between the leaders of both countries, as well as the ongoing meetings, signify the strength of the tie binding both countries on their unequivocal keenness on consolidating efforts to enhance cooperation across all fields. The first visit of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa to Brunei Dar es Salaam in 2004 laid the foundation for the development of bilateral relations between both countries and ushered in joint projects that have contributed to increasing the volume of trade and economic exchange. And in May 2004, His Majesty the Sultan of Brunei Dar es Salaam reciprocated the visit and held crucial meetings with His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa in which bilateral relations, cooperation and issues of common concern were discussed. 2017 constitute a turning point in Bahraini-Bruneian relations when His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa visited Brunei Dar es Salaam, a visit which was seen as a testament to the solid relations between both countries and their keenness to take cooperation to new levels commensurate with the aspirations, potentials and capabilities of both countries, and in light of their strategic location and influential role in the region, their similar visions and stances, and their agreement on the importance of concerted efforts to move the Islamic world towards a better future.
The Sultanate of Brunei is a country located in Southeast Asia. Apart from its South China Sea coast, it is completely surrounded by the Malaysian state of Sarawak. Brunei is separated into two parts by the Sarawak district of Limbang. Brunei is the only sovereign state entirely on Borneo. The remainder of the island is divided between Malaysia and Indonesia. As of 2020, its population was 460,345, of whom about 100,000 live in the capital and largest city, Bandar Seri Begawan. Brunei has been led by the Sultan of Brunei, Hassan since 1967, and had gained its independence as a British protectorate on the 1st of January of 1984. Brunei Dar es Salaam enjoys a high economic level thanks to its abundant reserves of oil and gas. The country ranks 4th in the Human Development Index after Singapore, South Korea and Japan among Southeast Asian countries, and is classified as a developed country. Although Brunei relies on oil as a major source of national income, it seeks to achieve economic diversification by establishing and launching more economic projects, which has placed it in the ranks of developed countries. Within the framework of his visit to the U.S., the Minister of Interior, General Sheikh Rashid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa, met with the Minister of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, in the presence of Ambassador of the Kingdom of Bahrain to the United States, Sheikh Abdullah bin Rashid Al Khalifa, and members of the accompanying delegation to the Minister. The Minister of Homeland Security welcomed the visit of the Minister of Interior, stressing its role in enhancing security cooperation and coordination between the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the Ministry of Interior in the Kingdom of Bahrain, pointing to the importance of the agreements and memorandum of understanding signed between the two sides within the framework of enhancing cooperation to achieve common strategic and security goals. For his part, the Minister of Interior underlined the distinguished relations between the Kingdom of Bahrain and the U.S. and the mutual keenness to develop them in a way that supports the interests of both countries, praising the level of fruitful cooperation and exchange of experiences in the areas of enhancing security, law enforcement, and achieving criminal justice in light of the strategic partnership and keenness to work together to face security challenges. He reviewed a number of projects and initiatives implemented by the Ministry of Interior, noting the importance of working to protect the future and expanding partnership areas to preserve the youth of the country, especially in light of the current challenges, including the development of modern technologies and the danger of some electronic games. The Minister of Interior praised the support of the U.S. regarding the Kingdom of Bahrain's accession to the Global Entry Program after activating the Reliable Traveler Agreement that was signed between the two countries in January of 2021, explaining that the program is currently working well and many Bahraini Bahraini citizens benefit from its services, and this comes after accelerating the issuance of permits for travelers who have obtained prior accreditation, as this matter comes as part of a comprehensive development of the visa system between the two countries. The minister pointed out that the security cooperation between the two countries includes several areas, including cybersecurity, based on the conviction of the two countries that it is among the most important global challenges and needs a real collective effort to work towards achieving it. He added that the Memorandum of Understanding signed by the two sides last year contributed to strengthening constructive cooperation between the National Center for Cybersecurity in Bahrain and the U.S. Agency for Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security, indicating that technological progress requires more vigilance and proactive measures in continuing to work together on capacity building, exchanging expertise and adopting best practices. During the meeting, they discussed areas of security cooperation and coordination, capacity building, and opening new horizons of bilateral cooperation. In this context, the two sides agreed to enhance joint work in the field of countering cyber attacks aimed at penetrating systems, in addition to cooperation and exchange of experiences in the field of drones by holding training courses that contribute to increasing efficiency and readiness rates in this regard. A number of security issues and developments on the regional and international arenas were also discussed, which contribute to maintaining security and developing joint efforts to confront current security challenges. The Minister of Interior and the Minister of Homeland Security signed a memoranda of understanding between the two ministries within the framework of cooperation to prevent and combat trafficking in persons, which includes mutual assistance on a wide scale, including the exchange of information to detect, investigate, and prosecute cases of trafficking in persons, protection and assistance to victims of trafficking in persons, as well as technical cooperation and preventive measures, including training and education programs, seminars, and workshops related to addressing trafficking in persons. The Interior Minister affirmed the serious and effective cooperation to implement what was stated in the Memorandum of Understanding, expressing his pride in the U.S. Department of State's continued inclusion of the Kingdom of Bahrain in the first category in terms of the most efficient countries in the field of combating trafficking in persons since 2018 until today, stressing the determination Bahrain will continue to build on what has been achieved and its determination to cooperate closely with regional and international partners to combat trafficking in persons. The Minister of Industry and Commerce, Abdullah bin Adel Fakhro, paid a visit to 5 Gulf Services factory in the industrial area of Askar in the presence of French Ambassador to Bahrain, Jérôme Cochard. During the visit, the minister was briefed about the mechanisms of work in the factory, which was established in the Kingdom of Bahrain in 2003. The factory is belonging to the French 5 Hardware Group, which provides processing equipment and production lines to major factories around the world, which also provides services to customers in the Middle East in industries such as aluminum, steel, cement, and precision machinery, from its headquarters in the Kingdom of Bahrain, which covers own workshop and includes offices, workshops, and warehouses. The minister affirmed that all investments that contribute to raising economic growth rates are welcomed in light of the facilities they provide based on visions and targeted strategies that enhance Bahrain's investment position. The Arab Parliament held its 5th and final plenary session for the 3rd session of the 3rd legislative term under the chairmanship of the Speaker of the Arab Parliament, Adel bin Abdurrahman Al-Assoumi. Addressing the session, Al-Assoumi has expressed full confidence that the kingdom's hosting of the next Arab Summit will make it an extraordinary event in developing the mechanisms of joint Arab action. He said that this is based on His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa's approach to supporting Arab solidarity and integration at all levels. The session discussed current regional developments, particularly the Palestinian cause, the situation in Yemen, and the outcomes of the Arab Summit held in Jeddah.